I need a robot companion as loyal as that. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with episode 2 of Scavengers Reign. So the first episode was good, but it was a little slow. It set up a lot of things. It definitely has a lot of interesting creativity to it, but it's definitely one of those shows that isn't going to have like a lot of. Well, I can't say it's not going to have a lot going on. More so that it's not going to have like this massive amount of quote unquote entertainment factor. It seems like a very serious show that's going to focus a lot more on the depth of the story and these characters rather than trying to be fun. You know what I mean? Like you compare it to a show like Owl House or Steven Universe or whatever. Those are shows that, yeah, they have a lot of great depth with their storytelling, their character work, but they're first and foremost trying to be fun. They're trying to be entertaining. Or if you even want to count other more adult oriented animation, you can say something like the Harley Quinn series, or Vox Machina, or so on and so forth. Shows that are trying to be fun while also still having, the adult content, the depth and everything. But, trying to be more and trying to be entertaining. Scavengers Reign, on the other hand, at least based off of the first episode, is trying to focus more solely on that serious tone and nature without necessarily trying to be this fun, entertaining thing, but rather trying to invest you in what's going on. And it does this through its visuals. It has a very unique, interesting visual style, plus the creative visuals of this alien world. That is what it uses to really hook you in terms of, entertainment factor. Because the characters aren't like as super fun or entertaining. They're investing, they have depth, but again, it's not like other shows, other animated series you watch where it's like, oh, this character's really fun, I really enjoy watching them. It's more like, oh, this character has a lot of depth and maybe even darkness to them. I'm interested to see what happens with that and what kind of problems come from that. It's a very different vibe, a very different feeling, and that's fine, because that's clearly what it's going for. I'm just unsure of how that's going to translate to me, you know, because I do tend to enjoy the more entertainment oriented shows more than a lot of the serious ones. Like when a lot of these shows tend to get more serious and intense and everything and move away from the entertainment factor as a driving force, a lot of times it can bore me, if I'm being honest. And I acknowledge that's a me thing. It's dependent on what you look for in a series. And this doesn't just go for Western animation, it goes for anime as well, and live action stuff, and video games. It goes for any medium, really. Um, so I'm just, I guess you could say maybe a little concerned. But I also do have hope. Because it was the first episode, you also have to try and, like, introduce the viewers to the world and everything. After that, you can really start to get into things a little more. Like, even though we're not, like, given, like, this huge amount of backstory and exposition and stuff, it gives us enough to where we know what's going on. We know why these scavengers are stranded on this planet. We know what they're trying to do in terms of escaping. It's like we have that information, but we're not quite to the point where we're like deep diving into lore and stuff. We're just giving like the basics and kind of like inferring certain things from that. There's a lot of show don't tell in regards to that. There's some things that just aren't stated yet, such as the one guy who was trapped on the ship, and he was having like those visions, those dreams of this woman. What is her relation to him? That's something we're at this point only left to infer. We don't actually have the direct information. And there's a lot of like things to infer, like about this one other character and her relationship to the robot. I can't remember names right now, by the way, so I'm just referring to them as this other character and trying to describe them. But her relationship to her robot, and seeing how like she gets annoyed by it, but is also clearly pretty loyal to it. You see these other two characters, and you see how well they work together, and how scientifically minded they are, and you see how that affects the way they handle certain things. This series, again, based off the first episode at least, is very clearly trying to do a lot of show don't tell. But there is some exposition in there, like at the very beginning of the episode, where it tells us what happened to lead to this point. But it delivers it in a good way that I feel works. So I think that it kind of balances out in that regard. But yeah, this first episode definitely gave me a lot to think about, especially over this past week. And I'm still unsure what I'm going to think about this, but we have plenty of time to expand upon things. Because again, that was only episode 1, and there was enough in there to definitely keep me interested. Now, with a series like this, I'm going to just say this right off the bat here at the beginning of episode 2. I just want to make clear, this has 12 episodes. And a series like this, for me, knowing my mental health and stuff, might be difficult to get through all 12 episodes in one go. So, if this ends up being a series I really enjoy and really want to continue reacting to as we go along, then I'm probably going to take a break halfway through. It seems, at least right now, that would be the best option based on, again, my mental health and what this series seems to be kind of going for. If this series changes its tone like significantly before the halfway point, I don't know, might change. I might get more invested. I might get more into it. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if it continues to be like this first episode was, I'll probably need just a mental health break halfway through. In which case, we'll probably get to something else and come back shortly after. Yeah, something like that. We'll obviously handle that when we get to it, but I just want to give you a little bit of forewarning now, just in case that does end up happening. Anywho, I think we should get on with this reaction and see what this second episode of Scavengers Reign has in store for us. So, let's do it. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but I upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all the gaming content we have both on this channel and the Secondary Princess of Gaming channel. We have Horizon Forbidden West every other day and Baldur's Gate 3 every single day on this channel, while we also have Nier Automata every Saturday on the other. And don't forget to click the link down in the description below to get to today's reaction. I redirected just due to copyright reasons. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in, let's get on to the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was an interesting episode that really touched upon the characters and their kind of response to a very tough situation. It really tackled how each of these different characters react to being put into danger, being put into situations that test them mentally and physically, etc., etc. How the world and the creatures within it react to them and around them, how they act and react to all of that. And it's really interesting because we have it again from the three main perspectives. And as always, forgive me if I don't remember these names. So we have the one guy who's just like, you know, going through his memories, led along by this this telepathic baby alien that is like showing him visions of his wife, from what we can tell. And he's experiencing these memories of like where he's not the best person, clearly has anger issues, clearly has patience issues, but he's not like a terrible person either. But he just had trouble with a lot of those emotions and how to handle them properly, especially in regards to interacting with his wife. And we see how that affects him now and how he kind of wishes he could go back to that entire situation, considering what's going on. The dude is breaking down, having a lot of trouble just existing at this point. And it's really sad. It's really sad, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that continues to develop as we go along. Because it seems like each of these sets of characters almost kind of represent something, and it's not entirely clear as to what it is right now. But he definitely is like having these kind of breakdowns and just not doing well emotionally, mentally, etc. And then you have our girl with Levi the robot. I remember the robot's name right now. But they are just trying to survive this storm as well. And they do so by eventually finding this place, this kind of safe haven that Levi had been visiting and growing plants in, creating like artistic expression. And while we're going through this, we kind of see this character's distrust, how she seems to distrust Levi's newfound individuality and whatnot, because it's not something she's used to. Apparently she's worked with multiple Levi robots in the past, and this is the first one that has ever had this issue. And it seems to be related to the fungus or whatnot that was used to repair the robot. So it's gaining kind of like a more sentient... It's gaining more sentience than it had before. It's kind of becoming a thinking being rather than just, you know, a robot with some level of artificial intelligence. And that's scaring her because she just doesn't know how to understand that. And then we have our other two. Was the girl's name Ursula? Sam and Ursula, I think. While the storm's going on and everything, they try to like initially go to like some cliffs and everything to hope for some caves. But Ursula eventually convinces Sam to take refuge in this semi-aquatic alien stomach, because she sees it like taking in its eggs, like pulling in the eggs through this like tube, like mouth thing, to protect them from the storm. And she's like, oh, well, then we should be safe in there too. But while they're in there, these parasites start going into these semi-aquatic tube aliens and feeding on them. A parasite gets into the one they're in, and they have to try and fight it, and it's, a problem because of the size comparatively. The parasite is massive compared to them, and on top of just being able to swat them around and stuff and bite into them, it also has this like almost sonic like screech that seems to maybe not quite, but almost rupture their eardrums. Like, we see blood coming out of Sam's ear. And yeah, it's very clear that it caused some massive, like, physical distress to both of them. They do manage to survive it, and it doesn't seem like they have any, like, permanent damage, luckily. But it does cause problems. Ursula's way of defeating it by, like, rolling it onto its back and then gutting it was like metal as fuck, by the way. But yeah, this thing was like a big problem, and it just goes to show how the hostile life forms on this planet can be really dangerous. So yeah, like I said, it seems like each kind of side to this seems to have its own like kind of theme. We have Sam and Ursula who seem to have like a focus on exploration and understanding. These are two characters who are like actually really experiencing the planet and its life forms. We have the other woman and the robot. And this one seems to be more about survival. While the first one's like exploration and understanding, this is survival. We have a woman who is dealing with her distrust of things around her and having to figure out how to best survive given those circumstances. And then we have our other dude who seems to be centering around his mental and emotional issues and just the effects that this planet and its inhabitants can have on people, as well as like his own past, his own issues. It's really interesting to see kind of this varying amount of theming going on in this series. And it's not the only show that's ever done this kind of thing, but the way it's being done with each separate side of this story having its own themes and ideals and concepts, the way it's executed is really interesting, because each story almost feels like a completely different thing. In the first episode, I liked the one woman and Levi the robot the best. Again, I will try to get these names down. I'm bad at that. But I liked their story the best in the first episode. The other ones were just not as interesting to me. In this episode, I actually liked Sam and Ursula's the best. It was definitely the most fascinating. The parasite inclusion was really interesting to me. And I was definitely more invested in that one than any of the others for this episode. And I'm hoping that that keeps changing each episode. I hope that throughout different episodes, I get more invested in each different one and get to experience like the interest, the depth of each story as it develops and grows. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this so far. But we shall see where it continues to go from here. So thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. If you have any questions, any thoughts, anything I might have missed or didn't talk about, please feel free to leave those below. For now, though, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.